You go right ahead here.
So we work with a lot of people out there, many entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, as well as bigger businesses. And that Mitch plays a lot in the bigger business realm, getting sales teams to produce more income. But he also has a big heart, as we do, to serve business owners that are creating a life that a business because they don't have the fundamental tools or they hesitate when they're doing sales offers. So Mitch brings 30 to 40 years of experience in sales, um, as well as just his natural wisdom as a human being. So we're fortunate to have teamed up with Mitch. About 2 years back, we were in a mastermind, and he shared about how to find to go where the big fish are. And we immediately connected with Mitch and his message, and we were like, we want to hear more from this man. And we just had he's like, sure, let's get on the phone and let's talk. And so we talked, and we kept being like, where's your offer? We want to work with you. And he just discovered more about us and where we were, and who we were looking to serve. And then finally we're like, we want to work with you, come on. And that was the brilliance of what he brings to the table. He got us to ask for an offer of how we could work with him. So fast forward, a year and a half later, we used a lot of his skills in his library, of how to generate more in our business. So, and Mitch likes us. So he said, I want to serve your people and your circles, and welcome in Susan, Dave, Rick, Jamie, Terry, Mona, and Vincent for all joining us, and getting a sneak peek of what this sales accelerator is that accelerated our business very quickly.
Now I'd like to actually say something is when we first started working with Mitch, we were already doing well. We had broken six figures very easily in our business
Because of coaching.
because of coaching. We had other coaches. We highly invest in coaching, and we see the value of listening to the brilliance of others. But when we started listening to Mitch, some of the things he was saying seemed to take a lot of the stress, seemed to take a lot of the pressure, the grind out of what we're doing, and brought a lot of fun into what we were doing. And what we had done in the prior 6 months, we cut in half as far as the time and put another six figures in our pocket in 90 days. And we'll probably be talking about that a little later as well. But the principles that we've learned, the principles that we are now teaching and embracing have just amazingly exploded our business. And we want to, one, thank Mitch for all of his help getting us to where we're at. And we're super excited about this new venture going further, working with him as a team. So, Mitch, is that good enough?
See, you never know. Take two is sometimes you nailed it. I couldn't be happier. Thank you very much. It's kind words, and it's all true. But they say that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, um, and there's a corollary to that. When the teacher is ready, the students appear. And many of us are teachers, coaches, consultants, trainers, healers, individuals, solo practitioners. I'm a practitioner myself, so I can relate. I've been self-employed my entire life. I have never had a job since the day I walked out of college. I coined the phrase psychologically unemployable because that's what I am. And so 40 something years ago, I started this journey, and it's taken a lot of twists and turns. But when I met Terry and Christine, I see talent, and I've seen a lot of talent, and I can spot people. And it's more of an intrinsic quality. Yes, there are a lot of extrinsic things, skills and tools and whatnot. But when you see people who are willing to learn, they come to everything with a beginner's mind, which I still do. I still learn as much as I teach, and I hope I won't ever stop learning. So we got to talking about it, and we're actually working together a little more closely to kind of step into larger businesses. That's my background. I've trained 1 million people over the last 40 years. Um, a good portion of them, majority of them, self-employed salespeople, practitioners, solopreneurs, and many of them were inside a big company. So I would train 50 or 100 or sometimes 500 people in a room at one time. And that's when we actually train people in a room, live, face to face. And so I've had the good fortune to be able to work with all kinds of people. And as a result, we've been able to generate about $3 billion of revenue for our clients over the years. And as much as I like to generate money for companies, corporations, that doesn't really excite me. But when I can help somebody either go from stop to go, because I can help release their brakes, or like many of you, we want to work with who are already going, but you want to go faster. Those are the people that we enjoy working with. So today, what we're going to do is we'll give you a little insight into what the game is that we're playing, what we've got in mind here in terms of the sales lab that we're putting together, and how it would benefit you if you would consider joining us. And along the way, we're going to share some of the models. This is not so much a teaching, coaching session. We did one of those last week, and if you want to tune in, we still have the video. It was a great session. I recognize one or two of you from last week, and welcome back. So we want to really help you accelerate what you're doing, get more bang for your buck, use your time most effectively, stop spinning your wheels, and really have the confidence, the competence to be able to design a business that you run rather than have your business run you. And when I've trained a lot of entrepreneurs, self-employed people, if I asked you, what's your major value for being self-employed, I don't want to take time here, but 3 things come up. Number 1, freedom. I want freedom. Number 2 is control. I want to be able to control the direction of my life. One of my friends gave me a great compliment. After knowing him for 45 years, we're having lunch, and he says, I really admire your ability. You own your life. I couldn't think of a greater compliment than somebody says, you own your life. Because really, that's what we all strive to do, is to own our life. Now, that doesn't mean I don't do any work or people I'm not committed to. Point is that I have choice. And that's also one of the characteristics that entrepreneurs want. They want choice. They get up in the morning, they get up early, they want choice to create their day in their image. And I want to do as much as I can with the grains of sand I still have left in my hourglass to help as many small businesses, entrepreneurs, solo practitioners, because we are what's going to revive this economy, in my opinion. And so with all that as a setup, I want to ask you something, because this is, in fact, it's one of the most important 3-part questions I ask right up front whenever I meet somebody or they set an appointment with me. And here it is. Why are you here? Why are you here? And why are you here now? You could be here a month from now, a year from now. Why are you here? And why are you here now? In other words, what do you want? What do you want more of? What do you want less of or get rid of? What do you want to do better? All right. And if you would, just for sake of time, so we can keep the pace going, if you wouldn't mind, anybody want to share, just drop it in the chat. Why are you here? Now, you could say what you're looking to get out of it, but I'm more curious about what drove you to give up your most valuable resource, your time and attention to be with us for this next hour rather than do something else. So if you wouldn't mind, Lenny, giving us a sense of why you are here, and if you want to put in the chat too what you want, what you're looking for, what would help your business grow, what would help you gain control over your time, whatever it might be, feel free to share away. Terry and Christine will monitor that, and then we'll be able to actually talk to you about what's important to you rather than just, stay on our track, so to speak. Even though we're on the bullet train here today, we are going to make some stops along the way. So if any of you are familiar with the New York subway, there's the express and the local. I grew up in New York. Well, today we're going to kind of take the local, all right? Because we're going to make some stops along the way to make sure that we address some of the issues that are important to you. And at the same time, tell you exactly what we're going to do from here on in and what the next step would be for you, all right? So Terry and Christine will monitor that. And you want to give me one or two of those that have...
Yeah, right now, I encourage everyone to go ahead and type something in the chat about what you're looking for, why here, why now. And Jamie says, I'm looking for more tools on how to grow my business and get more leads. And I'm sure everybody can agree with that. I know we're always looking for that as well. And we have seen some success, and we're still looking for those things. So what other things are people looking for? More tools. What kind of tools? How to grow my business, get more leads. What kind of leads are you looking for? How do you want to grow your business?
I see people typing.
And I would also ask, be very alert to when I say, for example, if I say, here's a really important question, you should write it down, because questions sometimes are the keys that open up the lock box, right? So why here now? The real issue is why me now? That's the question. Why are you here? Why are you here with us? And why now? Now that gives us some insight into what brought you here. You could be doing a lot of things, but something brought you here. That's what we want to know. Okay, it's very important. And by the way, do you think it's important to you for you to know what brings people to you? This is yes. This is no. I can see you. I see you. If you got to give me a yes or no. Would it be helpful if you knew what was attracting people? We don't know. We're all unconscious to ourselves most of the time. We're like in a fishbowl. We take things for granted. We take our skills for granted. We take our talents for granted. Many of us are far more talented and potentially productive than we are. All right. We're trying to help you shift your attention to the things that matter, do them more effectively, and then give you some extra tools in your toolbox. The toolbox that you have now has gotten you to where you are now. The question is that toolbox going to get you where you need to go? Are there tools that you've outgrown? Are there new tools that you could use? Are some of your tools a little old and rusty? Could use a little sharpening. All right. That's what you want to look, because tools are critical. But as important as tools are, nothing is important or more important than you. I had a client, I met him, he was 68 years old. No, I met him, he was 62, but he came back to me when he was 68. He retired he was a CEO, made tons of money, loved to golf, went out on the golf course every day, came back, called me up, said, Mitch, I'm bored. I started getting back into work. Oh, what are you doing? I'm selling insurance. Oh boy, I heard that before. He says, I'm at the bottom of the barrel. I don't know what's going on. I was a CEO, was a top, and now I'm struggling. Would you help me? I said, sure. Within about 18 months, he was the #1 producer in the business. And I said to him, we had an interview, a 60-minute interview. I wanted to know what he did, because I was going to use that interview with corporations, companies, and what. He said something to me that really stuck with me, and I'll share it with you now. He was a scratch golfer. He could go out and shoot a 70, a 72, whatever. He said to me, Mitch, if you had the choice to have the best golf clubs in the world or the skills of the #1 golfer, which would you choose? I said, well, of course, the skills. He says, okay. He says, that's what you do. You showed me the skills I need to be #1 in my field. Everybody else is selling golf clubs. I said, I reached over, I kissed him on the forehead. I said, you got dinners on me. That was the greatest thing I heard. Well, we have golf clubs too. We have world-class golf clubs. But if you're a novice, if you're an apprentice, if you're just starting out, you can have the shiniest toolbox in the world, and you won't be able to really use the tools to the degree that they're capable of. But if you develop the skill in your business to attract the right kinds of buyers, to know who's qualified and who's not, to spend most of your time with the hungry fish who are biting instead of going out into the wilderness and looking around and saying, nobody's home. If you learn how to get maximum value out of every single person, whether they become a customer or not, you learn how to multiply your ROI, return on investment, and you learn how to reactivate past dormant, inactive customers, you will have the skills of a multi-million-dollar player, if you will. Any toolbox you use, you'll use effectively. But what if you have the best tools and the best skills, or as good as skills as you can develop? You can get through anything, difficult times, challenging times, and then you can really succeed in boom time. So that's what we're all about. We're all about giving you the tools, the golf clubs, but we want you to become the best you can be. So with that in mind, let me, Terry,
better marketing ideas. And then Terry Beardsley says, I'm looking for ideas on how to grow my business. Rick is talking about wanting to know more about sales and how the sales are going to help him grow. Amy says, now because what I've been doing hasn't got me as far as I wanted to be. Mona says, coaching that understands what I do helps me grasp, helps me with the gaps in the business acumen, marketing calendar to build my content. And Susan basically says, I want to know how you did 6 figures in 90 days.
She does business consulting.
Yeah. And so new tools, and how do we do it? Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. That's the questions that are being asked right now. And welcome to all those people who just jumped in. We're super excited you could join us. And so Mitch.
Yeah, I was going to ask if we could turn off the sounds when they come in or not. I don't know if you can.
Only you hear them.
Oh, only I hear them. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let me give you a little background, and let me tell you where this thing, the central theme of everything I do. So I'm going to go to screen share, if I may.
Yep.
And there's a PowerPoint here somewhere. And please, again, tell me, because when I go to this, then I can't see the rest of you. All right. So you're seeing me, right? Somewhere along the line here?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So this is The New Game of Selling. I wrote this book about 8 years ago, became #1 bestseller, got me onto bestseller TV. It was a combination of using all the stuff I had used over the years in corporate America that has created $3 billion in revenue. And I put it in a book that got me onto bestseller TV. And that is really what the game is that we're playing. And you notice the new game is my theme. I wrote the new game of business. I have the new game of IP, which is intellectual property. But this is the flagship program and goes in hand with the new game of service. But what I really want to do is kind of take you back in time. I want to take you back 30 years. Okay. You see that guy on the right? That's me. When I had hair and it was dark. The guy on the left, you may or may not know, be familiar with. His name is Brian Tracy. If you're familiar with him, you may put a Y yes in the chat. In any case, Brian is one of the most successful speakers, authors over the years. He's done thousands of seminars, and he was an original mentor of mine. Well, I doubled my sales for 3 years in a row. And when I wrote, I audio recorded this program called 21 Ways to Double Your Sales. And at this conference, I was the keynote speaker. I had a speak off, 40 other speakers, and I was granted the #1 slot, right? And I gifted Brian the first copy because he inspired me to do the audiobook. But that's not what I want to draw your attention to. I want you to see what's underneath the arrow. The words underneath the arrow have been really my mantra for my business career. Big doors swing on small hinges. Big doors swing on small hinges. And the reality is, if you try to open the big doors, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of push. Some of you have been working, and I don't mean big doors like, big companies. I mean, they feel so heavy to open a big door because you're focused on the push. You're focused on the effort, where you should be paying your shift of attention. I can't tell you, and Terry Christine can validate this. One of my gifts is helping you shift attention from what isn't working to what will work. And sometimes we are stubborn. I'm stubborn. I'll be, my son will tell you, my ex-wife will tell you, which she and I are best friends, but she'll tell you I could be stubborn. All right. But at some point, you've got to stop suffering doing the same thing over and over again. And I really admire all of you for taking the time to be here, because obviously you're looking for something new, different, a change, improvement. All right. So over the years, I worked with Brian, and he was gracious enough to give me this quote. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it. I've trained 1 million people over the years. And this is one of the most validating things. When your mentor tells you that you're one of the people in the world who's responsible for boosting more people into the top 10%, that's the culmination of a life's work. I could stop right now and be very fulfilled, all right? But there's a lot more to do yet. And I want to show you that. I'm going to share with you just a few of these, and you can read them, but I want you to follow a pattern. One of the things I'm going to bring from your unconscious to your conscious is, where is your attention, and to be alert to patterns, be alert to things around you. Sometimes we're so focused on something in the future that we ignore what's right in front of us right here, right now. All right. And that's what I was able to do with Shirley, is help her get a $30,000 deal in the first month. But it wasn't just the words. She didn't have the courage. She didn't have the confidence to do it because she didn't know what to say. So just like getting rid of the fear of rejection, some of you may have had the fear of rejection. I don't try to work on the fear. It's too big. I work on the rejection. If I could help you eliminate rejection, would you have a fear of rejection? No. So work on the actual cause, not the symptom. The symptom, the emotion, as Terry so effectively talks about, is the fear. You can imagine what fears come up. So I helped her with the words, and that gave her the confidence, that gave her the courage to do it. Here's a doctor who was in our mastermind last year. One meeting he had, they gave him a contract for $260,000. He had no product. He had no offer. He had no whiz-bang website. They paid him for what he knew and what he could see, all right? Which is one of the things that we talk about, how you can get paid more for what you see than what you know. Robert Ian, in the first morning that we worked together, he converted it into results in the afternoon. 5-figure contract. One conversation, all right? 1 hour clinic. I want you to see the pattern. What's the pattern? Somebody write in the chat what they see as a pattern here. What's happening? And what are some of the words that would describe the pattern? Okay. Can you see the pattern? The pattern is speed to speed. The pattern is fast. I could go on. I could give you some more.
And Greg says, bullet train.
That's right. That's that. That's exactly right. And why we connect so well is because I want to go fast. Now, if you want to go slow, that's okay. You move at your pace. The beautiful thing about this work is it's like a custom suit. You put it on, or a coat. You put it on, it fits you perfectly, and then you never want to take it off. And then you can adapt it to you rather than you trying to adapt to it. Again, this one, Linda Sutton, she had one of her major goals. Gene Tullio, a musician, 6 months, he waited to send me this because he said, unlike other motivational pep talks, you deliver consistent and flagging results. We go on and on. I made 22,000 the very same day. Now, we're not promising you those kind of results. What we're saying is it's possible. Big doors swing on little hinges. We're going to help you look for, locate, and find the little hinges in your business that will open up big doors. Big possibilities come from small distinctions. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at seeing the puzzle, seeing what missing pieces there, going into the library and say, here, this is it, Mona. This will work. John, this is what you're missing. Put that in there. It's good as it is, but you're missing one piece. Or better yet, you know what we have to do? We have to redesign the whole thing. It's not working as you would like it to work, Susan. So you know what? Let's start from scratch and design it from scratch, whichever way that is. This is my background. Won't talk more about it. You can screen capture it if you want. You can look me up if you want, but you're all here because it's Terry and Christine. So you already kind of know they wouldn't invite you to waste your time. These are some of the major companies I've worked with over the years. I'm proud of that, but I'm more proud of the fact that I've helped more small business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, practitioners than maybe as much as any other trainer out there. So what's our game? Our game is simple. Actualize people. That's you. In other words, be the best you. You don't want to be Terry or Christine. You don't want to be me. You are you. Our goal, my game is to be the player who makes other players better. If some of you are sports fans, I was an athlete in my life. I played semi-pro baseball till I was 43 years old. I love sports. I like being part of a team. I like helping my teammates play a better game. That's actualizing people and maximizing performance. We have a way to identify what's actually standing in your way. It takes 15 minutes. It's an amazing tool. It's one of the tools that we're going to add so that you can see exactly what's blocking you, and then we can help you overcome it. There's nothing like it in the world.
It's so cool.
Yeah. We can get right down to very granular, like whatever the specific capacity is that's in your way. That's how we can help you maximize your performance and strengthen your strengths Don't try to strengthen your weaknesses. If you try to strengthen your weaknesses, you will weaken your strengths.
That's a writer down here.
That's a writer down. Strengthen your strengths. We want to find out you have talent and ability. I bet you're not liberating. And sometimes it's not the tools, it's shifting your attention, your way of looking at things. And maybe you just don't have clarity that somebody else can help you see what you can't see. We all need help seeing what we can't see. With the ultimate goal is to optimize profit.
I think one of the interesting things about that Mitch is talking about is a lot of times we downplay things we did and we take it like anybody can do it because it was easy for us. And this is one of the things that really our assessment really looks at is what are those things that you can do that are very evident to other people, but you discount yourself. When you start to realize how powerful that is and how it shows up in your life and how you're discounting it, you start to really be able to embrace that, and that those little pieces move you forward faster than anything.
And sometimes when you're unconscious of something, it's operating on you, but you don't know it. And if we can bring the unconscious conscious, the unconscious component becomes a conscious component, that's the trigger for transformation. Because until you're conscious of what you're unconscious of, you can't see it. It's not real in a way. It's happening below the surface of your conscious awareness. And we're all habitual creatures. I get up in the morning, I pass the kitchen in the same way. I look at the same thing on the kitchen. I go to, it's like I'm a robot in a way. And we're all habitual until somebody else points it out. Then you realize, oh, I do that, really? So that's our game. And we want to help you actualize yourself as a being. We want to help you maximize your performance as a doing. And we're going to help you optimize your profit as the objective, as the going, so to speak. Okay? So here's the question. What do you want? Attract ready buyers, convert more clients, increase revenue, improve conversation, win the inner game, or something else? All right? Be thinking about what you want. So two questions here. And again, it's for you. All right, because this is partly an exercise to determine if you're ready for this, what we're going to present to you, or if this is something that you've been looking for your whole life. What's your biggest obstacle? That if you could remove that obstacle once and for all, the one that you've been, the big rock, so to speak, in the road, could be an emotional thing, could be a psychological thing, could be a skill, could be a practice, could be limited thinking, whatever it is for you. And you don't have to share with us. You're welcome to share. What's your best opportunity? What's your best opportunity? All right. When you think about it, you get up in the morning and you think about, what is my opportunity out there? Where am I going? What's for me out there? And then one of the question, what's my upside money potential? And don't give me 10 billion or $1 billion. Really, realistically, we're not in the game of pie in the sky. All right. If you've never made $100,000, to go from 10,000 to 100,000 is possible, but it will probably lead to a lot of frustration rather than going from 10 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 100 in steps. If you're doing 100, you want to get to 200, it's a slightly different strategy. If you're doing 250, you want to go to 1 million, it's a little different game altogether. And if you're a larger business doing into the millions, multi-millions, 8, 9 figures, who many companies I've worked with, a totally different game. What I want to talk about is just you. You. All right. So what is your realistic upside potential? Terry, Christine, at any point, jump in here. All
Yeah.
right.
I will say Mona actually did answer, and she said all five are on my list. I would love to see other people actually answer that question in the chat. If you want to unmute and actually answer that question and say, hey, what is that one thing that you think will move you forward? Or answer that, what is your upside potential? And if you don't know exactly what the upside potential is, tell us that because we will help you.
Yeah, just drop it in the chat for sure.
All right. So let me take you through some things real quick. I'm going to give you a model soon, but I want to share to you why new and why now. Why new and why now? Okay. So let's talk about it. Sales, as far as I'm concerned, and I just think it's the number one challenge companies have, but it's also number one opportunity because sales is revenue, marketing is expense, service is expense. So you have one department, sales, bringing in income, and two expense departments. Now, what would happen if you could convert service to a profit center? When I started, I didn't know anything about marketing or sales, but I knew a lot about service. So I said, how can I do this game differently? Well, I decided to turn service into marketing. When somebody said, how do you market? I don't market, I serve. How do you serve? I offer a second opinion. This was way back when, 35 years ago, actually 40, when I started. I said, I'll give anybody a second opinion. And that became my marketing, all right? So in addition to sales being a number one challenge, selling is the essential skill. And we are all woefully inept at selling naturally. If you try to sell the way you've been taught to sell, your pen or mine. Does that sound good to you, Mona? Yeah, sure. Trial close. Handling objections. Oh, I see. Let me use objection handler number 32. Yeah, that's one. It became a game of push and pull. I never felt comfortable. I decided to change the game. Because the game is changing rapidly, it's changing radically. What worked 2 years ago does not work today. Who could have predicted 2 years ago we'd have experienced what we've experienced? It radically changed the way people have to think about their business. You have to be adaptable. So your risk, whether you know it or not, is becoming obsolete. You know why? Because trust has shifted from sellers to peers, peeps, and Yelp. When you think about trust, who do you trust? Terry and Christine, that's why you're here. If there wasn't Terry and Christine, you wouldn't be here. But your customers, your clients, the people you serve, they're talking to their peers. They're talking to their peeps. They're going on Yelp. They're getting independent verification before you even step on the playing field with them. And as Terry so adequately and astutely said one day, I think the game is really today reduce distrust. That's a writer downer. Reduce distrust, because I'm from New York and New Jersey. We don't trust anybody. All right, we're not skeptical. We're cynical. Why? Because we're always on the lookout. Right. So, who's in control? Who owns the trust turf in your relationships? You have a choice, and I don't like binary choices. So this is one of the rare times you will ever see me offering a binary choice, but it's stark, but it's probably more true than not true. Is there somebody else doing what you do in your industry? Of course, you're not the only one. So you have a choice. Your clients will see you as indispensable or irrelevant. Unfortunately, in the services business, not the product business so much, because people ship. In the services business, they tend to be really loyal and they see their service providers as indispensable if they're trusted. If they're not, they become irrelevant and they start to look for somebody else. Bottom line, there's a cost to stay the same. Status quo has a cost. You can assess that cost. We may have time to do it, assist you, but you can assess the cost. But there's a payoff, a big payoff, when you up your game. And that's really what we're all about. We're all about trying to help you up your game from the little distinctions and the small hinges to open up bigger doors than you ever thought you were capable of. That's why new, why now. So what is that there? Oh, that looks like a bullet train. Not as nice as your bullet train, but kind of a bullet train. So that here's the business as I see it. All right. Transportation and transformation. You're in one of or both of those businesses. Essentially, you're in business to help transport somebody from where they were to where they want to be. You're really, if you can reframe your business in a different way, you might say, oh, I'm in a travel business. I'm a travel agent. I'm an agent of travel. I help you get from where you are to where you want to be. I used that line 40 years ago. I'm pleased to say Jack Canfield liked it so much, he uses it as a subtitle to his book. All right. This is your business. So how can you transport people and how do you create, enhance, facilitate transformation? And you really won't know that for sure until you go back and ask the one and most important question of service you can ever ask. Shall I give it to him, Terry, Christine?
Yeah, this is a good group. I think they deserve to hear.
How many of you honestly ask all your clients, why did you buy from me? Why did you do business from me?
We do. We do.
What?
Not as
said,
often
we do.
as we could.
We do.
Now, it sounds like an obvious question, but now 1 in 100 companies actually ask all their clients. And the reality is you don't know until you ask. You can't know until you ask. And the idea of going back to your customers, what we said to you right up front, why here now? Why are you here? Why are you here now? What do you want? The question is, why did you buy from us? Why did you work with us? Me, whatever. You ask that question, especially of your best customers who you want more of, 5, 10, 50, 500, however many, you will find out things you would not believe. And you would find out things that maybe will shift your marketing message totally. Quick example, 1992, 93, I'm doing exclusively corporate training, big companies, 1,000, 5,000 salespeople. I'm licensing this training, other training. I said to a guy, VP of sales, why'd you hire me? You have trainers in-house. You have consultants in and out of here all day. Why me? He said, you were the first one that came in here and said, break down the walls between marketing, sales, and service, and stop treating them as 3 independent departments working their own. And you talked about it being a holistic circular process, that if we all work together, it would be much more effective. And as a result of that, we're now able to better attract, convert, and keep customers. Wow. I said, can I use that? Can I say that? He said, of course. So when somebody asked me, what do you do, Mitch? Instead of doing my best Ralph Cramden imitation, I'd say, my clients tell me I'm really good at helping them attract, convert, keep, and multiply customers. Which of those would you like to do better? Do you see what happened there? Do you see what happened there? I asked my client, they told me in their words that I could then use for all my new clients who wanted just like them And I came up with a phrase and a question that immediately qualified somebody if they're a potential buyer, prospect, whatever you want to call it. And if they said, no, we don't want to attract, convert, keep on multiplying the customers, I'd say, great. Who do you know who wants to? One of your vendors, one of your suppliers, one of your customers, one of your friends. And it became, see, that's simple, isn't it? So having to figure out your elevator pitch and then say it 100 times and then meet somebody in an elevator and then freeze. What was it that I do? I don't know.
Seen that or been there.
Who has not done that?
Right? So this is the game. Realistically, when you think about it, you're in the transportation business. So you know what I want to know with everybody? I want to know your destination. I want to know when you're going to depart, when you plan to arrive, your preferred mode of transportation, and do you have any special needs or desires? Like you want to sit in first class? You want a private plane? I know what kind of buyer you are. How can you help me transform into who I want to be? So I'm going to give you a flight plan for success. Before I do, let's take a quick break. See if there's any comments, anything you want to say, any questions. I want to run through this real quick, and I want to kind of give you a sense of what we're going to do, where we're going.
So we do have Mona answered the question after you asked which of those 5 are the most important. She said my biggest mindset is biggest obstacle is mindset, and my best opportunity is public speaking and LinkedIn. And then Greg is actually bringing up an interesting idea that he has, which is his upside potential is limited because he's got a 9-to-5. And balancing both managing time and the 9-to-5 is a big obstacle for him. So if we can kind of hone in on those a little bit.
Okay. Well, let me give you this formula. This is an amazing formula developed about 35 years ago. It's a dual purpose. It is your flight plan for success. It is also a phenomenal qualifying formula. In 5 or 10 minutes, you can help really understand where somebody's going. So I'm going to give it to you as a gift to you. We're going to go through it. And as we go through it, answer the questions. You don't have to answer them like in full, but think about it for you. Where do you want to go? So R stands for result. All right. See, and here's I have to preface this. Wherever you are in your journey right now, you took off from point A, wherever it was. Right now, you're in mid-flight. This is profound. If you just get 1% off course early in your journey, in the middle of your journey, where do you wind up? At where you want to be? No, you wind up at point C. Now, point C might not be far from point B, so that would be okay for many of you. What if you're going to New York from San Diego, you get 1 degree off course, you wind up landing in the Atlantic Ocean? Would that be, they would not want that to happen. This is known as the law of infinite trajectory. It says that once something is on a trajectory, it stays on that trajectory infinitely unless acted upon by an outside force, which is also the law of cause and effect, right? Something moves in a direction consistently. So how do you make sure that when you take off at point A, you land at point B? You follow these 4 steps. Step 1, R is for result. This is known as the RAM formula, RAM. Where are you going? What are you committed to? And what are you willing to do? I could find out the answers to these questions, whether or not you're ready to really take off and get in the cockpit, or if you're in mid-flight already, why you may be off course just from these 3 questions. You may not know where you're going. You may have decided that you want to go somewhere else, but you're too unwilling to change course to get there. Maybe you're no longer committed, you're committed to something else. Or maybe you know where you're going, you're totally committed, but you're just not willing to do what it takes. It's okay, right? The result is, what is your destination? Next, action. What actions have you taken? Past. What actions are you taking? Present. What actions do you plan to take? Future. What have I done? What am I doing? What will I do? This is a phrase that I kind of invented 35 years ago because I was a perfectionist. All right. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. You got to get into the plane off the ground. 3rd step, measure. Here's something that very often people don't do. Either they don't want to do it, they're uncomfortable doing it. It's accountability. And how do you measure? There's 2 measures. There's qualitative measure, which is, how does it feel? Am I having fun yet? Is there no stress? Am I carefree? And then there's quantitative measure. Anything I can measure with numbers: speed, direction, money, income, net worth, number of clients, conversion rate, all right? The question I would ask you is, when you measure quality, I call these the 2 Qs, qualitative, quantitative, are you getting closer to your goal or are you drifting? Are you getting farther away? And you know it intuitively, and then you know it extrinsically by measuring. And sometimes the numbers work, but the feelings don't. You're hitting your numbers, but you're not having a good time, or you're having a great time, but the numbers aren't showing up. Mm-hmm. We want you to have both, qualitative and quantitative. But here's the critical 4th step. And this will tell us very soon in a conversation if you're willing to modify. See, if you're flexible and you're willing to adjust, correct, revise, alter, shift, move in a different direction, then you can say, oh, what changes should I make? What new actions can I take? But if you're stuck and you're rigid and you're unwilling to really look honestly at your situation, or you don't have somebody to help you to look honestly or set some new eyes, you could just continue to drift off course. And sometimes we don't even know it because we haven't used this formula. So the question becomes, how will I adjust, revise, correct, or change? Meaning, how will I do different than I'm doing now? And this, by the way, leads to an incredible result. All right. When you go through this process, what you're really doing is you're evaluating a person's state of readiness to actually make change. State number 1, I'm satisfied. I got no problem or need or a desire to change, with a typo in there. Okay. So if you have no problem, I shouldn't be talking to you. If you had no problem or need or desire to change, chances are good you wouldn't be here, unless you just had nothing better to do or you knew that there was going to be some good stuff. We don't talk to satisfied buyers. We only talk to people who become dissatisfied. Now they have a problem, an opportunity, but they're not ready yet. That might be you. You might have a problem. You might have an opportunity, but you're not ready yet to pursue it. The next step for those people is motivate. Now, I can't motivate any of you to do anything. I can inspire, I can encourage, I can support, but the motivation comes from within. If you're not motivated, you have to look inside yourself All right, we can do all the external stuff, but we can't motivate you from within. However, the people you want to talk to are the people who are ready. They're committed and they're willing and able to act now. And the next step for them is to activate. Where do you fall in these three states of readiness to make change? See, our game is not about closing the sale, persuading you, convincing you. I learned early on, maybe my mother told me, she said, I'll give her credit. She said, remember this, a woman convinced against her will is of the same opinion still. I said, good advice, Mom. It turned out to be great advice, but that's true of everybody. Nobody likes to be sold. Many of us don't like to sell. We're resistant naturally. We want to make this game fun, easy. That's why it's a game. Decide where you are. And now you have an understanding of when you meet somebody, quickly you have to decide where are they in the spectrum of state of readiness. And true, you can sell people before they're ready, but it's all kinds of problems. If you had already buyers, would you ever talk to a dissatisfied one? No, not until they became ready. Our game and our goal is to get you in front of as many ready buyers as you can handle. Would that help your business? I'll take that as a yes. All right.
Absolutely.
Bottom line, and then we're going to come off this and have a conversation a little bit. Here's the model of life. Everything in life is this. You can really reduce all of life into this model. And I tell people all the time, as long as you're still alive, you can make another choice. And that like happened at the beginning of this conversation, we decided it didn't start the right way. So the director said, cut, take two. And we got it right, take two. There's always another take. And if you look at every decision, every choice as if it's life and death, then you're going to put too much pressure on yourself to make the right choice. And the problem with that is you never know if it's the right choice until after. And that is this model here. So, stimulus, you're attending a webinar, we're talking about improving. Response, how do you respond? Well, and this is true for your clients, your friends, your loved ones, your family. Think about this. This decision gap is where all of life exists. You get a stimulus, takes you back to a bad past experience. You got ripped off. You spent your money, you didn't get any back. Somebody deceived you. What do? You react from the past. You think about it and you freeze, you fight, you flight, but you're not in the present. The ability for you to respond in the present to anything life throws at you is all in that decision gap. And in that decision gap occurs either a reaction from the past or an anticipation from the future, which doesn't exist, and the past doesn't exist either, or you respond in the present. I had a stroke about almost 2 years ago. I was totally paralyzed on my right side. Couldn't walk, couldn't talk, and could not move my right arm. I'm still a little not totally right. My speech is a lot better. I could have crawled up into a ball, felt sorry for myself, and never be heard from again. But I chose to respond. I chose to control that decision gap and respond, not react, not think about 2 years from now, I'm not going to be able to type still, or a year from now, I'm not going to be able to speak like I used to. Today, what do I have to do today? And it helped me bring myself present to what I have to do today. Learn from the past, look forward to the future, but live in the present. So for you, if you want to alter somebody's response, you're not getting the response to your marketing. They're not reacting or responding to your lead magnet. Your conversions are not as going as well. If you want to alter a response, what do you have to do? Change your stimulus. Much of what we talk about is observing the response you're getting from what you're doing, what you're saying, and how you're being, and then look at that and say, how can we change that stimulus, the being, the doing, the response, whatever it may be, to get a different response? If you want to alter your response and not react, I strongly encourage you to control that decision gap. And one question you'll find valuable with anybody, any part of life, but especially with clients, if they've had a bad past experience, you say to them, have you had a bad past experience or had past any kind of bad? Tell me about it. Let them get it out on the table, because unconsciously, that past experience is influencing their present decision. And if you don't know how they reacted from the present to the past, you're in two different time zones. You're in the present, they're in the past, game over. You got to bring them present. So the more you're present, the more you're able to bring people present, the more you're going to find that you have constructive, productive conversations. Very valuable model. Right, so let me come off here, come back to the real world. Am I back?
You are back.
Okay.
And you're back.
Let me check in on you and see how you're all doing. Any questions so far? We're going to actually tell you what we're up to here now and what's in it for you, so to speak. So anything that we should address, anything you want to say, Terry or Christine?
At this point, I'd really just want to hear from other people about what they've heard so far, really about what's going on in their mind. Mona, Susan, definitely like to hear from you guys. Terry also, all of you, for sure. Just let us know what you've gotten from this so far. A nugget, a thought. I can see that Terry's deep in thought.
Okay. I'll say something. I could really relate to what you shared with us today, Mitch. It's very powerful perspective, and I myself suffered an injury that took me out of my game for like 10 months. I could not work. I had a concussion, and I just couldn't do it, even though I tried. Believe me, I tried, and it was very, very, very painful. And I noticed a lot of people during the pandemic have gone through some physical accident, illness, something that really transformed their life, their perspective, and and their business. So this had a huge impact on me, my bottom line, my income. I'm a business coach and consultant. So I'm always looking for qualified leads. That's the name of the game. It's like, where are my people? Where are my people? And so I find it very time consuming, head consuming, where are they? What do I wake up every day, every week, well, where are they? And so I'm told they're on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, so wherever, it's over there, it's over there. No, it's over there. It's like chasing a duck in the reeds, So it's very interesting, this mentality. But I follow, but I have been working very diligently on LinkedIn, and I'm really not producing the kind of results that I would have expected. So I realized, so let's not do that. Let's stop. Let's just stop and reassess. And so when I got Terry and Christine's, email, my curiosity was piqued. I wanted to see, well, what am I not doing? What should I be doing? What is a different perspective, perhaps, what's missing? And I know what I do well, and I don't believe I have to add another tool in my toolbox, but something is missing. That's
Okay.
what I see. Something is missing.
One of the things, if I might, this is probably a good time to talk a little bit about what Christine and I did with our 90-day six-figure boost. And it's not that we had it in 90 days, it's that we continue to do it.
Oh, good
This
for
month
you.
alone, we're well on our way to six figures. And what's really going on is the RAM formula is one of the biggest things that we tend to use. Really understanding where people are at, where they're ready,
Mhm.
how they're working through it, and then there's other pieces that Mitch hasn't gotten into that we're going to be talking about a little bit more, and when we start doing this sales lab, and we dive deeper into all of these different models. And the biggest thing that Christine and I had when we met Mitch is we had the mindset and we had the emotion set to take the action that Mitch was talking about. And so the big piece for Christine and I is we have an emotional model that we work from that I've used for 25 years that has really helped everybody I've ever worked with get to a place where their head's not messing with them. Because what we talk about a lot is on the bullet train, you got a lot of trash on your track. And it might be relationship trash. It might be health trash. It might be what's going to happen trash. Or the trash of just the world talking about the economy falling apart. And we help you to really identify what's going on emotionally, get the trash off the track so you can take the tools that you already have, take the tools that we also provide, and start to really take action fast to get where you want to go. The problem most people have is the trash keeps getting on there. And so when we give you those tools from our perspective to help you continue to remove the trash, and then you use the skills that we're learning from Mitch and that you guys are now going to be able to learn from Mitch and us, it just helps you to make that six figures all the quicker, because all of the things that keep us up at night aren't keeping us up at night. We're not as tired. We're able to reset. One of the things that we talk about a lot is hitting the reset button. So when you have a rejection, or you have something that happens, or you have some kind of thing that doesn't work, you could just get right back on track.
And our clients told us that one.
Our clients,
Our clients
do tell us
tell
that.
us that
Our
they help
clients
us hit
tell us
the
that.
reset faster.
And so
To get back in the game was actual code.
And so it just makes all of the things that you do, that you find yourself doing throughout the day, that aren't actually getting you the results you're looking for, you just start doing the things that do work faster, like Mitch was talking about. So I think now is a good time to start talking about what we are providing.
I would say one thing as a corollary.
Sure.
Sometimes we need to reconceptualize our business. When things are not working, we tend to say, okay, what tool can I pick up to make it work? What shift can I do to make it work? All right. And our attention is on one spot on the movie screen. But when you step back and you look at the whole movie, you might come up in one of our conversations and say, you know what? Maybe the way I'm approaching this, it's not so much that I need leads. It's that I'm not clear about what I do. So it's not conveying to the people I would attract if I were clear. Why is it so important? If you have clients, 1, 3, 5, 50, doesn't matter. Why do you buy from me? Your best clients, why do you buy from me? Why me? Why us? And now you say, I want more of you. I want more of Terry's and Christine. We decided we'd be better off working together and collaborating and going after bigger fish together. But we don't want to lose our connection to solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. That's again, so Like if, for example, if you're a car dealer and you sold, let's say Audis, right? And then you say, well, you know what? I have a Mercedes clientele. Let me create a Mercedes choice. That's what Terry and Christine are doing. They started with one-on-one, then they went to group. Now we're expanding into a part of that group to help you do sales. Then we're going to move to, it's like having additional dealerships. You might have to reconceptualize what you're saying. It might not be the leads are there. It just, there's a gap between what you're saying, what they're hearing. Very often people are not buying what we think we're selling. And we're not selling what they're buying. And how do you know what they're buying? If you don't ask them, why did you buy? What was your state of mind? Why did you pick me, Susan, versus all the other coaches and people out there? Get down into the nitty gritty. What was it? What's that trigger? Like I asked my client, he said, you did this, you were the only one to do this. And now because of that, we can do this better. Great. Thank you very much. I could spend 10 years in an incubator trying to figure that out. I might not have ever come up with it.
One of the things that you're talking about right now is we started, after Mitch talked to us about doing that very thing, we started doing it. And what I noticed a lot of times is I have this model that I work with from the emotional perspective, and I show it, and I'm in love with the damn thing. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. I will stare at that thing thinking how great it is. And then I ask some of the people that I worked with why they bought from me. And they're like, because you make my big problems small. Because you change my perspective. Because you help me to take action. Some people even say, and I hate the word accountability as far as that goes, because I really am strongly about personal responsibility. And they go, you hold me accountable. And I'm like, shit. So the things that I think I'm doing have nothing to do with what they're receiving. And when we start to understand that, we can elevate our game because we stop thinking about it from our own focus, from our own point of view, and we're able to talk to people from their point of view.
Good point. So in addition to sharing the tools, the models, the frameworks, and it's all very simple, we're going to work with you on you. So it's not a mechanical thing. It's really what is important to you. What do you need? And that's why we decided to create the Sales Lab. And so should I get into the more specifics?
I think I want to get into the specifics, but Jamie just asked a question, and I love this. So we could either answer it after, or you can answer it before and then get into the specifics. But the question is, I'll lay it on you, is getting paid for what you see rather than what you do. It's a great concept, and we get lost so much in the doing. So if you can give a few words about the idea of getting paid more for what you see than what you do.
Well, this is actually off subject, but I like to answer any questions. When you think about what you get paid for, right? All of us get paid for what we do. Some of us actually don't get paid for what we do. A lot of us spend a lot of time doing things we don't get paid for. Can I get a yes on that? Is that true? Okay. So that means that we're doing things that we're not directly getting paid for, with the idea that the rest of the time we're going to be doing things that we do get paid for. And if we don't get paid for more things than we do get paid for, we have to reevaluate what we're doing, right? So that everybody's familiar with. Then there's a whole other class of people, and I don't mean class like better or worse, just different. Get paid for what we know. Teachers, coaches, consultants, advisors, course creators. This is all in what I call intellectual property. I have a whole body of work about how do you sell, rent, and license your intellectual property, whether you have a course, a program, mastermind, and it changes your whole perspective. All right. That's getting paid for what you know. Would you say that in many cases, getting paid for what you know can be more valuable than getting paid for what you do?
Absolutely.
Is that true? For some of you, have any of you ever gotten paid more for what you know than what you actually do? Okay. Well, guess what? That's one of the things we're going to help you do. Get paid for more for what you know than what you do. Very few people get paid for what they see. Why? Well, first of all, we see things that we take for granted because we see them. We don't acknowledge, we don't recognize, maybe we're not aware that other people don't see what we see. I have a unique ability to see things in a way that other people don't see. I never thought that was very valuable because I'm a doer. I get paid for what I do. Oh, I didn't know it. How do you get paid for what you see? Well, first of all, you have to acknowledge that I'm in the business of getting paid for what I see. Then you can determine how much is it worth. Well, who knows what it's worth? It's only beauty. In this case, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If you see something that a business doesn't see or a person doesn't see, and let's say it can have an impact, just for argument's sake, of $1 million on that company, how would you charge? Well, you can't charge a commodity price because it's not a commodity. You can't charge for time. By the way, we're going to teach you something called the money talk and how you can get paid more for what you're doing, what you know, what you see. But you don't want to get stuck on time for money like everybody says. You want to go to project. Well, there's no project. I see it over there. It took me 5 minutes. How do I charge for a project? It's until you break that ceiling and move into value pricing, you will never know how much you're really worth. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is how do you break the ceiling from time and project to value pricing? And value pricing is probably the only way you can get paid for what you see. Why? Because let's say you were that business, and let's say it was $100,000, and we together see what you can do differently, shift, add, subtract, reorder that could lead to $100,000. We see that. And we could lay it out on a plan. Question is, how much would you pay for it? If you knew it could lead to 100,000, whether it was every year, 1 year, cumulative, would you pay 5,000? Would you pay 10,000? Right? The point is, it's in your view of what it's worth. I could charge you 50,000. You might not pay it because you don't believe it. But if I charge you 5,000 and you knew you could get there, you might spend it, right? How long did it take me to see it? It might be seconds. People, the most valuable people in the world in terms of getting paid for them, the person, what they know and what they see, not what they do. I want you to chew on that, all right? Because there is something you can see and get paid for what you see that might be worth all the doing and all the knowing that you're working with. Something to get your arms around. So very good question. Great question. All right. Let's talk about what you have to bring to the table. All right. What we're looking for. You have to be in 3 states of mind: ready, committed, and willing. Now, obviously, you have to be able, time, money, bandwidth, whatever, right? But essentially, you have to determine, are you ready? Is it time for you? Are you committed? And are you willing to do what you have to do? And there's not a lot of time commitment to show up and actually dig into what's going to work for you, all right? If you want to go faster, if you want to eliminate resistance, if you want to be a craft master where you serve in a higher and better way, and then you get compensated for that. My mantra I came up with when I was 15 years old, I love and serve people, and they reward me with their money. So whenever I had a downtime, or I was on the roller coaster, as Starry and Christine said, and I was, I say, who can I love and serve? And they will reward me with money. That's how it works. We think too much about the money first and not the love and the serve. If you want to direct your thinking for the highest good, control and harness your emotions, and have the skills to be the best player you can be, then you might be a good candidate for what we're doing. It's a simple game. It's quick, it's easy, it's relatively painless. I don't think there's been any pain, and it's risk-free, right? You will know going in, really, if you're going to get your return. And by the way, those are 4 things. If you could set up your game to be quick, easy, painless, and risk-free, you stand a very good chance to attract a lot of the people you're looking for. So let me, if I may, just go back real quick to the share the screen, which I'm not a fan of usually, but I'm going to do it. All right. So this is basically what game we're playing. If you want to be a new game player, this is the history of what we've been able to do with the training that you're embarking on. 3 billion of new sales, thousands of top performers. I used to train top producers in companies. I used to go in at the level of the whole company, but I would target top producers, because top producers with a 10% improvement bring lots of money to the company. And I used to pitch them and say, hey, if I were a top producer and I could bring my business to your company, how much would you pay me? And they tell me, well, guess what? If I could help you add that amount of money to your overall company, would you pay me the same amount of money? And if they said yes, then we'd talk, right? Because if they had 10, 15, 50, 100 producers, and one producer was producing $1 million and he was earning 200,000, if I could produce another $1 million among all 50 producers, would I be not worth 200,000? See how that works? You can qualify your buyer before you even engage in a conversation. I've been able to get 5 and 6-figure contracts with companies. We do high-level selling, and we've coached over 1 million people from 35 countries. So here's the game in a nutshell. The new game it's selling is how to attract true believers, like a powerful magnet. In other words, how do you attract people who are looking for what you sell and ready to buy it now? So we're going to give you a strategy to tap into a pool of hungry fish. How do you find them? What kind of bait do you use? And then how do you select them in terms of qualifying a person's state of readiness? Who's ready? Who's getting ready? All right. Some of you right now are just getting ready. You're not ready yet. That's okay. We don't want to push you. We don't want you to do it before you get ready, but we want you to get ready. We want you to go from getting ready to being ready. So the question you want to ask, and again, this is a writer downer. If you have somebody who's not ready yet, don't try to persuade them. Don't try to convince them. Just ask them, what will take you from getting ready to being ready? What will take you from getting committed to being committed? And that makes it much easier to convert browsers into buyers. But just in case you're not really skilled at that, we're going to show you how to gain commitment, not close a sale, using 3 magic words, just 3. If you can use 3, it's better than using 50, right? So that's the new game of selling. And that's on the front end. How do you attract, qualify, and convert more customers? The new game is service. Keep customers for life and having them come back for more. When Terry and I and Christine and I started, we just dealt with one specific thing, then expanded to other things. As long as I could continue to be of service and be worth the investment, they will work with me. When I stop being of service or being a valuable resource, they'll move on. So the question you want to ask yourself is, how can I keep customers for life and have them coming back for more? We're going to give you a couple of models that will ensure that you do it. And not only do it, but get testimonials, referrals, endorsements, and more back-end business. And that leads to multiply your ROI. ROI is return on investment. Our game is simple. ROI times 2. Fast return of investment. If you invest $10,000 in a real estate or a stock, first question is, how fast will I get my money back? Right? So we want you to get a fast return of investment, which means that every dollar you earn thereafter is a return on investment forever. And if we can continue to help you produce, you might stay with us a long time. And then on the back end, if you have past customer, dormant customers, inactive customers, we're going to show you how to reactivate them, plug it back in, and know exactly what to say and exactly what to do. That's the game. If you have a leverage point in any one of these 6 areas that can produce another 5, 10%, 15%, if you have leverage points in 2 of them, you can figure out what this could add up to. And you're going to identify which of these 6 areas you're going to put your attention on first, which is most lucrative for you. Least amount of resistance, highest probability of payoff. So essentially, to keep it very simple, here's what this whole game is about. We're going to give you access to what we call our $1 billion playbook. That's a video library of 57 modules. Now, don't get overwhelmed because you're not going to watch all 57 modules. In fact, there's a good chance you may never watch all 57 modules, but they're there for you. Now, I do notice 1 or 2 of you here who might remember the Encyclopedia Britannica. And when we were kids and we had to do a book report, we go into the Encyclopedia Britannica, we pull out the one that worked, we flip to the content that we wanted, and we do our book report. We didn't read the whole darn thing, although I know one person who supposedly read the whole Encyclopedia Britannica. I thought he was insane. It turned out to be a brain surgeon. Figures. So how it works, you're going to go right into the game plan, attract, qualify, convert, keep, multiply, reactivate, that you need a play. You're going to watch that video, pick your play. The video is from 8 to 20 minutes. Take the worksheet, you go out and you execute that day. True, Tara and Christine?
Absolutely.
Is there anything here too complicated that you've experienced so far that you couldn't literally do the same day?
No, in fact, I think the magic of all of the new game and why we were so interested in being a part of what Mitch is doing and working with Mitch is because it makes all of those things that you're trying to figure out, too much information and you don't know what to do. This makes it simple. Listen to it, read it, do it.
The first 5 words in the book: simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Lenny da Vinci, otherwise known as Leonardo. We're on first name basis. You get documents, you get worksheets, you get action guides. In other words, we give you what you need. We're not going to just dump it on you and say, go use it, figure it out for yourself. That's where the third step comes in. The Sales Accelerator Lab is coaching and role play. Now, we did a little bit of that today. We took your real life questions. We didn't know what they were. There was nothing planned. And we respond in real time. Do I have all the answers? No. Just Terry? No. Nobody has all the answers, but you get the wisdom of the crowds. And very often, because we lead groups that are very cooperative, collaborative, interdependent, they want to help each other. And sometimes you have the answer, Susan, for Mona. You just see what we all don't see. Again, what you see. So we're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy it. It's going to be real time. And then we're going to refer you, for example, like we did today. Okay, this is the model that you need to use. This is the formula that you're going to try. These are the questions you're going to ask. And we will literally give you the questions or the words. Then, as long as you stay in the lab coaching replays, you can go back over and listen and watch again. Essentially, you get the digital library. You can start right away. We're going to start training the actual group accelerator lab first week in February. We're going to do an onboarding next week where we're going to show you how essentially the lay of the land, how to get the most out of it. Now, we picked a price, not $29.97. We picked a price of $3,000 for this program. All right. Inexpensive? No. Each of you will talk to Terry and Christine because each of you are in a different situation. And some of you are existing clients, past clients, future clients, you're working. That's the face price. All right. And whatever kind of courtesy, if there's some sort of courtesy involved, you speak to them directly. If by some chance you're watching this after the fact and you were invited by me to watch this and you contact me. And as far as the investment is concerned, and here's what we're going to guarantee. We can't guarantee your money back because obviously we're giving you access to my library, which took me 25 years to develop. We will ensure this. If you, after 3 months, by the way, you're going to meet every other week. And if at the end of 3 months, you honestly didn't feel like you got what you needed, we'll let you stay. All right. Until you get what you need. Now, you got to live up to your end of the bargain. All right. We're not going to ask you to write down everything you did or didn't do. Okay. We want you to get results. If it's out of your price range, we don't want you to go into hock to do it. All right. But the truth is, we want to get you to get results. We want you to get your investment back. Once you have your investment back, and then everything from there is profit. But we want you to see a path to get your investment back. Is that 10 sales at $3,000? 5 sales at $600? 1 sale at $3,000? Whatever it is, we want you to zero in on how do I get my return of investment? Because from there on in, you're playing with house money. Okay. So I don't know if I have another. Oh, these are, by the way, some of our coaching sessions that we did. And some of these we're going to actually pick out and give you bonus coaching. So we'll pick an individual topic, for example. Also, there are some other fabulous interviews I've done with some pretty prominent people. The two I'm going to throw in here are the one with Guy Kawasaki, who used to work for Steve Jobs at Apple. I interviewed him on how to use enchantment to attract customers. And the big one on the bottom here is Dr. Robert Cialdini. Some of you may have heard of him. He's the godfather of social science. He wrote the book Influence. And then I interviewed him when he wrote Influence, 50 Ways to Get to Yes. Great interview. Okay. So these are some things that we'll just kind of throw in as needed when we feel it's appropriate. But the core program itself is what I just described to you. Okay, so let me see if there's anything I forgot.
Well, Susan asks, is this a 3-month program?
Yes, we're going to meet every other week for 2 hours. Now, once we do our onboarding, we have an idea that we're going to do it on a Thursday. But once we do our onboarding, you're going to tell us, we're going to pick days that work. So we'll work it out. There'll be 2-hour coaching calls. The calls will be primarily, well, let's call it a semi-private, because we're going to deal with your issues. If you don't come with issues, if you don't come with things to talk about, we'll teach you something. But the idea is not to teach you the course. The idea is to help you execute and implement the models, formulas, recipes, approaches that you need right now to advance relationships, get more qualified buyers, go and get referrals, reactivate, whatever it is you're working on in one of those 6 game plans. We're going to direct our attention to you individually, and then direct you to which of the models and frameworks will work for you.
And I will say, if you do have, or we detect that there is some problem with the current model you're working with, we can retool it very easily and help you to actually move from what you're doing that isn't working and let go of some of the things that aren't working and really start doing more of what is working, or what we have done ourselves that can work for you. And so whatever it is, we've dealt with a lot of different things. Christine and I have built a number of entrepreneurs into the 7 figures, and Mitch has worked with so many people, and he's pushing us towards 7 figures right now. So we have you. We want to help you. It's what we really love to do. And so, like Mitch said, if you're not getting the results that we think you should in that 3 months, we're not going to drop you.
And I'll just end with this, and all of you can speak with Terry and Christine individually to discuss your individual situation. Nobody's going to sign up, just sign up. We want to make sure this is right for you, that you're definitely going to get return of investment. I'm comfortable with that, okay? Because I know you got your money back, but that's not our game. Our game is to try to get you 5 or 10 times your investment. Why? Because where will you reinvest your money? Into bad investments or good investments? If we become a good investment, a profitable investment, you may want to continue after 3 months with us, and we'll give you that opportunity. All right. And we're also, if you have particular issues that you do not want to discuss in the group for whatever reason, all right, I made an arrangement with Terry and Christine. Get your questions in between, and we will address it directly to you. If it's something that you don't want to discuss in the group, we will contact you privately by email. In other words, we're here to serve you and for you to get out of this what you want. And that's really important. So let me finish by giving you what everything is about and how you can keep customers ripe so they don't get rotten. Would you like that? Would you like a formula to know that you can always keep customers ripe and never let them get rotten? I need a yes, not a no, a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Ripe. R-I-P-E. Results, improvement, progress, experience. This is a proprietary model, so please, I'm sharing it with you because it's what we intend to do and how we're going to measure if we're doing it. 1, you're going to get results. Results transport you from where you were to where you are. Improvement. We're going to help you make improvement. Improvement transforms you from who you were to who you are. P, progress. You are going to make progress. Progress transcends you from where you were to where you are. And experience transmutes. Experience transmutes in that it's something you can't put a dollar amount on. And you're not the same person after an experience that you were before. And our goal is to make every time we're with you an experience that something you remember for the rest of your life, potentially. And that's your game too. If you really want to know what your game is, it's either produce results, see improvement, make progress, or give people an experience that they say to you, like a woman said to me almost 25 years ago. I was doing a seminar in San Diego on a Saturday, and I got invited to speak on a Wednesday with a guy named Robert Al. Very famous author, wrote Nothing Down. There were 700 people in the round, and I was on a stage in the round. I had 7 minutes. I must have said something good, because on Saturday morning, while I was getting ready, some gal walks down the aisle, and I don't know how she got in. There were 300 people waiting. And as she got closer, I said, "I recognize you." She put out her hand and said, "Hi, I'm Eliza." I said, "I remember you from Wednesday night. Why did you come back?" And she said 5 words that changed my life. "I want more of you." Ah! Can you bet I was on that day? Now think about it. Like in show business, you always want to leave them wanting more. If you leave people and they don't want no more of you, then something's happening that's causing them to feel, "I had enough." And you have to find that out, by the way. We'll show you how to find that out. So our goal is to make it such a good experience that you will want more of us. And that's the standard that we're going to try to set for ourselves. So with that, I invite you to join us. If it's not the right time, the right space, you're not ready, committed, it's okay. Hopefully you got something of good value out of today. And thank you for your participation and contribution. Terry, Christine?
Yeah, I added the link, and go ahead and book a little 15-minute with Christine and I, and we'll talk about how we can move forward. I'm putting it in again, and we hope to be connecting with all of you and help each one of you move forward the way that you wanted to when you started your business. All right. Susan asks when this program starts. Next Thursday, we have an orientation, and then it starts the following week. You get access, I believe, Mitch, you get access to the library next Thursday.
On the 3rd.
Yeah, you will probably have the library set up right before we actually start the program.
Okay. So right before we actually start. So just a couple days after the orientation, but he's going to go through and show you how it works and all of that stuff. And so we're super excited to have everybody join us on the journey. We know that we've gotten results. We know we continue to get results, and we know we can help you get the results when you follow the suggested instructions.
Okay, any last comments or questions? Thank you all. We look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you. Great seeing you again, Mona and Susan and Terry.
Danny.
Can I ask a quick question? So sorry. So what is like the rate of his unsuccess, I guess, when he's working with someone? It says that he's helped a million people.
Question, and Mitch has dropped off, so he can't answer that. But I will answer this. Everyone who doesn't do the work that they need to do to create the connections, create the deals that you're going after, doesn't have success. But if you do these things,
I mean, there's 57 of them. There's one that's going to work.
if you do these things the way we did these things, we've only used 2 or 3 different plays out of the playbook, and we've crushed it. And so you don't have to worry about whether it's going to work or not work. It's really about starting to focus on what things do work and do more of those
Yeah.
things.
That's right. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we're going to go. Thank you very much. This is Terry.
Thank you.
Accelerator Coaching, and Mitch is already here. He had to go. He had an appointment. And so we will see you guys in the group.
Call us if you have any questions.
Absolutely.
You're all great candidates to be in this. Bye, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Jamie.